Well, it's another week done. It's Friday here. And I'm just finishing up at the gym for another week. And yeah, I only got one sale through this week, one new client in, but I've got a heap coming on next week, I believe. So peaks and troughs, just got to remember that it's peaks and troughs, you know, ups and downs. Roll with it. And the online stuff, yeah, I did very little this week on that. And I had one major thing I wanted to do. And guess what? I haven't freaking done it yet. It's my podcast, and I haven't launched it yet. And the launch is literally just sending out the link along with a little snippet, 30-second snippet of one of the highlights from my first podcast session that I've done. So everything else is pretty much done. I literally have to just spend 20 minutes to do that. And my focus has been so heavy on my personal training clients and bringing on new clients and making sure, you know, everyone's happy with their programs and all that kind of fun stuff, that all my time is accounted for. And I really am trying to avoid taking time away from my family, because it's okay, you know, it could be better, could be worse, but it's not. I'm really conscious not to take more time away from my family, because I have more hours I could dedicate to this. There's no doubt about that. It's just I don't want to spend those hours doing it, because it's going to be time distracted away from, yeah, time with my kids or time with my wife, and I'm just, yeah, not willing to do that at the moment. And I've also pushed my hours a little bit further and into the day and into the night. So when I go into work during the daytime, it's kind of, I'm finishing, well, it's 1 o'clock now in the afternoon. Yesterday I finished at 2, so you're not getting home till a little bit later, and I've been trying to finish at 12. That was kind of my initial aim. So it's just kind of pushing back. And then at nighttime it means, and then at nighttime as well, I've had a couple of later nights, so I'm finishing kind of 8:30 or thereabouts. I don't think this road is working very well here, so I'm gonna go somewhere else. Anyways, so it means that I'm just not getting that time that I would normally get, a little bit extra, like I could dedicate a little bit of extra time to doing it, but certainly just something that's not happening currently. And so the side project, which is all rolled into my online business, has been very minimal this week, which is a bit frustrating. However, I'm sitting there looking at my schedule, and you know, the old me, who was less driven, had the same ambition, probably greater. You know, it's an interesting observation. I probably have greater I probably now have greater drive and less ambition than I did 10 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, where I had a greater ambition but less drive to actually and less of actual doing and taking action. So what I'm saying essentially is that the gap between, you know, doing the work that's required in order to get the result I want has significantly, like by a factor of a lot, decreased, which I think is a good thing, between where I want to be and where my work effort and energy is going into. I just saw a text message come up. I was debating whether or not to mention this in the video. I just saw a text message come up from a client, and I put in a funny thing. She had a program card, and I put in some like an exercise program for her, and I just screenshotted it and sent it off her way. And I put a funny thing of hashtag motorboating, which is the total inside joke with this particular client. And she just texts back saying, "Oh my God, motorboating! I burned so many calories doing that." It's nothing sinister, I promise. It was pure innocence, as much as that can be. So anyways, a bit of an aside. But the difference between where that difference, I hadn't really contextualized that until just now, which is really interesting. Because what I used to do is, back in the day, I was a bit younger, about 10 years ago, actually, I'm getting old now, probably 12 years ago, I read the book Think and Grow Rich. And in Think and Grow Rich, it says, you know, you've got to have the desire to do what you want to do, and then you've got to have this ultimate aim of what you want. And so my goal was to achieve making or having $10 million by my 40th birthday in 2020. And I will do so. I used to say, this was my mantra I used to say, right? By 2020, my goal is to earn $10 million by my 40th birthday in 2020. I'll do so through real estate investing, starting out using my personal training business. I will give up the majority of my days and small parts of my weekend to achieve this, and I will not give up any time spent with my wife or family, as they are the most important thing. That's my thing I used to say, and I used to say it quite a few times a day, and I'm glad I can still actually remember that, because I haven't thought about that in a while now. But then my actions wouldn't map to that, right? I just thought I could just think these things, and they're going to magically come into fruition. Now, you can think these things, and it's important to think, but you gotta put the fucking effort in. And I thank Gary Vaynerchuk for kind of slapping me around in the face and, you know, being like, well, if your actions don't map to your ambitions, then what the fuck what are you doing? You know, that doesn't make any sense. It's cool to be ambitious, because a lot of people are, and they'll say outlandish things like, maybe think something like I just said, I'm gonna make $10 million by my 40th birthday in 2020. And I gave myself a good 14 years to achieve that, so that's pretty reasonable, actually. But guess what? I went out a lot, I drank a lot, you know, partied, watched a lot of TV, you know, hung out, and every opportunity I get to not work, I would not work. And I didn't even have kids back then. And then as now, if I compare that to now, I'm actually working a shit ton more, harder, focused, energy, and sustaining that. I mean, so far I'm, 6 weeks into my new routine, but prior to that was still working way harder as well in my old job, which I was still working on my online business, and that I was still working most nights, some early mornings, all that kind of stuff. Old me would not have done that. So my actions are now mapping to my ambition. And so now the other side of the coin of that is, my ambition is not to make $10 million anymore. I mean, look, I'll take it, and you know, I might get there one day, and that's cool. But my focus is, not my focus, but my ambition is really, you know, to make multiple six figures a year, but certainly, you know, not to have to make 10 million in order to feel satisfied about life and where I'm at, my position in life. That's certainly not where I'm at with that, because I realized you don't need that amount of money in order to, in order to be happy, in order to do the things I want to do in my life. Now, the things I want to do are fairly significant in my life, so I do need a fairly significant amount. However, I do not need that level, and so a couple of cool things about that. One is, it takes a lot of pressure off to have to feel like you have to be this fucking multi-millionaire in order to feel happy and successful. I can be happy and successful, well, happy now, successful in a lot of ways, but, you know, it's always that ambition of what's the next thing, and I want to get more and achieve more. So because of that, my ambition has, because of my new level of thinking, is that I don't want to, not that I don't want to is the wrong words, but I don't need to achieve that. I mean, I'm first of all, I got to be happy with the work I'm doing, which I'm so much happier. It's, you know, you don't realize until you're out of the situation, which I think I've said before, that you are, once you're out of the situation, how unhappy you were and how much happy you are now, and how much just pressure is off the shoulders, and just how much happier you are in general life. So that's paramount, because what you don't want to do is have this thing where you're going, I'm not going to be happy until I make that $10 million for the next 14 years, or now I'm getting an old man, now the next 2 years, I'm 38 now. I'm not going to be happy until I achieve that result. But the 10 million is like such a, like that, man, that is such in the distant future, and such a large amount that if I'm going, well, I'm not at zero, but, you know, say at zero, I'm at zero now, and I'm trying to achieve that, you know, it feels like this huge task that has to, you know, come by. Whereas if I think, well, you know, I'll make 100,000 first, and then I'll make 200, 150,000, then I'll make 200, and then I'll, you know, work my way up from there. You know, that's more actionable and more tangible goal. So that ambition now is lower, I mean, it's still higher, not that it matters what other people are gonna do, but it's still higher than a lot of people. Not that that matters, but, and it's for all the things I want to do in my life, it still will achieve, you know, 95% of those things. And I gotta remember, I gotta be happy with where I'm at first. So, anyways, easy now, car. Oh, car nearly pulled out in front of me. Don't you dare. So anyways, that's probably the observation of today. And the takeaway is don't be foolish about what, have high ambitions, and there's no problem with that at all. And who am I to like preach this, you know, or tell people what to say or do? But from experience, no point in having, I'm really probably talking to myself, there's no point in having these high ambitions if you're, I mean, it's fine to have them if you're gonna have them, like 10 million. I mean, that's like a drop in the bucket. If you're, for a lot of people, that's not that much money. And for a lot of other people, that's a insurmountable, like a crazy amount of money. So there's no problem with that. But if you want that amount of money, like put the work in. If I would have put this level of work into my personal training business 12 years ago, I mean, I don't know that if I'd be on 10 million, but you better believe if I put this level of work, this consistently focused, deliberate work, you better believe I'd be pretty freaking well on my way to that number. But guess what? I'm really at the moment nowhere closer to achieving that number than I was before. But now, I mean, in real kind of financial terms, but in mindset terms, I'm closer than I've ever been, because God, so much has shifted in my mind. And for a long time it's been, has it really shifted, or am I just doing that thing where I, you know, go hard for a few weeks, maybe stretch it out to, you know, a few months, maybe, and then burn out or get tired of it and then stop it or move on to the next shiny object. And I can, well, you can never say it for sure, but I can now say as definitively as I can after, I don't know, I've been doing this 2 to 2.5 years of working out what the hell it is I want to do, because working out that corporate world was not my thing. I've been, certainly the last year and a half, I've been pretty damn consistent, 1.5 years for sure, with like just grinding it out and working at it. Now I don't know how much more time there is to go till I get there, but I'm enjoying myself more. I'm learning heap. I'm not being the perfectionist self that I typically can be, and going, well, if it's not perfect, you know, I got to learn exactly right, or if it doesn't go exactly my way or exactly the way, you know, I think it should go, then stuff it. I'm just gonna, you know, it's not working and I'm gonna stop. It's now more gritty than that. It's more, you know, just, yeah, more gritty, like more like I'll just get in there and figure it out, like, and shit's gonna go wrong and I'm gonna lose money and I'm gonna not figure stuff out, but that doesn't mean I have to stop. I can keep going. And so in those terms, I am further now in narrowing that gap between my ambition and the work level I'm willing to do in order to achieve that ambition than I've ever been in my life by a fair margin. So that is definitely my takeaway for today, which is, for me, a good realization in talking this out here. So thank you for your time and listening to me, because therefore, and by the way, I have no idea who's going to listen to this. Absolutely none. I am literally doing this because I think it's amazing to document the journey of what I am doing. And then for me, at least, I can see it later on and go, I remember those moments, because I have a pretty shit memory and I forget these things. And I think when I achieve something, I don't value it as much afterwards, because I think, oh yeah, well, I did that, tick the box, on to the next thing. I don't ever take that moment to look back and go, shit, I've actually come a long way. And so this is my way of doing that, and hence the grittiness of this. Like this video, by the way, before I sign off here, and I will in a second, this video, by the way, I would never have done this in a car, which I've said before, you know, in this weird angle and the way it's sitting here, and then you can hear the turn signal when I've got the turn signal on. I've been like, no, it needs to be perfect and in the right thing. It's like, no, fuck it, just get in there and do it. The message is more important, and the documenting is more important than the fucking camera angles or lighting or how my hair's looking at any point in time. So yeah, that's the message for today. I'm gonna sign off now. See ya.